Hi guys, welcome back to Sports with Mono and Mono. It's April 5th. So Eli, we finally have entered into April. So
Crazy.
right. So I'm here, of course, with Eli Weintraub, who kind of just informed me he'll be go studying broadcasting at Seton Hall University. Congratulations, young man.
Well, thank you very much. Looking forward to it. But
Good.
we have but more importantly, though, we have a great show ahead. A lot of stuff to talk about, and
Yes.
that's what matters. And we're gonna, of course, jump with right into the monologue. That's the most important part.
Yep. And that's sponsored by Coriano Trucking. So Eli, you have the microphone for the monologue.
All right, Jim. All right, we're gonna start off with. And I was not expecting to do this, but when I found out this week, I was honestly shocked. St. Francis University from Pennsylvania, the university, has announced that they'll be going from Division One athletics to Division Three. Yeah, that's right. Not going from 3 to 1, 1 to 3. That's crazy. For
Yeah.
those of you who don't know, St. Francis University just competed in the first four in the March Madness tournament and had some incredible accomplishments. And they're part of the Northeast Conference. And I was lucky enough to interview Eddie Burrows and Nick Winfield Jr. at the Northeast Conference Football Media Day just last year. And you could check out those videos, by the way, on the Sports with Mono Mono YouTube channel.
Okay.
And they've announced that they're going to be going from D1 to D3. They'll be leaving the Northeast Conference starting the 2026-2027 academic school year and will be participating in the President's Athletic Conference. They will continue to play with the Northeast Conference and Division One next year, but that'll be the last year. Very Reverend and Chairman Joseph Lemon spoke in a statement saying this was not an easy nor a quick decision for the Board of Trustees. Based on realities like the transfer portal, pay for play, and other shifts that move athletics away from the love of the game. And for those reasons, the board has aimed to provide more resources and support our student athletes in this changing environment that aligns with our mission, Catholic institution, and our community's expectations. The bottom line is the transfer portal. The main reason they cannot afford basically giving these guys top dollar amounts like other schools such as Florida, Duke to pay them. And that is a big reason why how the NIL has ruined college sports. We continue to see it, and now we see it with St. Francis. Now, many students reacted to this by crying in tears. They were shocked about the situation, and many are worried about how their scholarships are going to be affected as D3 has different rules versus D1 scholarships. We will see how that plays into fact. And following this
Yep.
announcement, St. Francis basketball head coach Rob Kermel announced his retirement from basketball. And what a big decision that was following this
Yeah.
whole D1 to D3 move. A
Yep.
shocking decision. And keep in mind, this was not an April Fool's Day prank. This was announced on March 25th, but it went extremely in depth and crazy this week. So this was a crazy story to see, and we will see how this affects the student athletes going forward and what they decide to do. But a big move overall, going from D1 to D3 sports overall.
Yeah, interesting facts, and just put into perspective. So they were in the Northeast Conference with Fairleigh Dickinson, Wagner, Mercyhurst, those kind of
Yes.
teams, Central Connecticut, and yeah, you could tie it somehow to this portal and the ability of guys to go from one school to a next. We've talked about it verbatim. Um, but yeah, that's an interesting fact, and I bet it's not going to be the last school to do that.
No, it's not. And once again, the NIL has definitely changed college sports. And now you're seeing teams go to D3 sports and athletics because of this, because they cannot afford it. And it does not help with everything else going on in the world as well.
Yeah.
Andrew comments, he checks in. He says, Congrats, Eli. Go Pirates. Thank you, Andrew.
Yeah, good. And thanks for joining us, Andrew.
Yes.
Um, so, Eli, good monologue. Now, I'm just going to kind of squeeze one in, and let's just say there's a second monologue because you and I
Yes.
were just talking before, and it's a topic again that's just been um, eating at my craw for a long time, and it's the sports gambling aspect of the society that we live in. And I saw a great piece on CBS Sunday Morning with Ted Koppel. And, when we talk about it, all we do is get flooded with these commercials and the enticements to get young kids in hooked onto this. And you and I talked about it, Eli. It's an absolute addiction, and it's a problem that is widespread. Um, I saw an interesting thing when they mentioned that they whoever the governing body of sports betting is, said that only 1% of people are addicted. And to the point that equals 2.9 million people. So, and it's ruining lives, and they keep enticing you more that if you lose a bet, they'll give you more credit. And they continuously make these offers to get people to put their money back in. And it's happening because young kids, maybe even, I don't want to say specifically college kids, but it could be high school kids, but they're resorting to stealing their parents' personal information to make these bets. And I just listen, you and I do sports coverage, and I can never find any words to justify it. And there was some old clips of former NFL Commissioner Paul Tagliabue, testifying in front of Congress, and this was probably 35 years ago, how bad it would be, how it could compromise the integrity of the game. And now they're bedfellows with the NBA, the NFL, and you can bet on anything.
Absolutely.
Anything.
It's crazy.
Just and not a good thing. I just saw it was an interesting piece.
Yeah. And it's becoming this addiction, and it's really crazy to see. It's like a drug addiction. There is definitely some good to this gambling, and there is some bad to it. The good is it's helping to fund more sports. I guess they're getting more money for it, more engagement, I guess you could say, into the game, because now you're focusing on, now you have to watch more games to see who you bet on or who to bet on. So I guess you could say there is some positive in that aspect, but it's also bad because you're losing money left and right if you don't win. And also it's hurting families and people more than it is helping them.
It's a big time. It's a big problem.
Diego checks in. He says, hello, boys. Good morning, Diego. And Martin checks in. He says, good morning. And good morning, Martin, as well.
Good morning, Marty. Yeah, Marty's our resident loyal listener from King of Prussia, Pennsylvania, or the area. He's got some Jersey roots too, so thanks to Martin. All right, Eli. So we covered those kind of quick points. Good job. Let's move on. We got the Final Four upon us, and we started out with 64 teams, and now we're down to 4. And
yes,
unusual. And I know you've mentioned it before that maybe the portal has actually impacted this particular tournament because all 4 number 1 seeds are there. I think it's great. I think you got the 4 best teams. You want to see it, but what's your take on who the Final Four is?
Well, I think these 4 are definitely deserve to be in there, the Final Four for sure. But the thing is, the tournament was overall boring. We had no upsets. We had no exciting moments. I think the only big upset was St. John's losing to Arkansas. I think that was it. In my perspective of an upset. I think this tournament overall did not see the hype as it was before. And I think, the NIL has definitely affected it. Now these top guys are going to schools that are going to pay more. And those are the number 1 seeds like Florida, Houston, Duke, Auburn, Alabama. These are the teams I'm talking about that are going to definitely want to pay. That also affects the little schools, such as St. Francis, St. Peter's, St. John's. These are the little schools that do not now get to shine in their own way in this tournament because now the top guys are leaving right away to get more money. And there's a reason why they want to, back out, go to D3 in the case of St. Francis, as we mentioned. So I think, yes, absolutely, this tournament was not the same as it usually was. Not many upsets, not many close games either. But we hope to see maybe close matchups tonight and even on Monday in the national championship. We are in for a good one. But if we do not see close games or close upsets, we're going to be disappointed, the fans, for sure, next week.
I don't think we're going to be disappointed at all. I think we got great players on each and every one of those 4 teams, right? Yep. We got Florida, we got Houston, we got Duke, and we got Auburn. And you could see, as a matter of fact, congratulations. We've been talking about this phenom, Cooper Flagg, right? All season long. He didn't disappoint. He came in. He's a freshman. Only the 4th freshman to win Player of the Year in college basketball, so that's a big deal. So what's the schedule for us, Eli?
Well, we have tonight 6:09 on CBS. It's Florida and Auburn, followed by 8:49 Houston and Duke over on CBS. Monday's the national championship at 8:50 p.m. on CBS.
Well, they did start it a little bit earlier, right? Because it used to go off at like
It used to be
9:30.
9:40. Now it's 8:50. They're normal for once. Thank God.
Okay.
But Jim, I just want to point up real quick. I heard you went 2-2 last week in the picks, and your buddy here went 4-0.
Yeah, I know.
Hey, do you want to comment about that?
Listen, you're part of this show because you're educated and you make good picks, my friend.
Well,
Congratulations.
Listen,
when I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
I had to take my credit
So
because I know you got the king and the crown for the NFL and those picks this year, so I had to get a crown somewhere. I don't have the graphic yet, but I had to get my little praise, I guess you could say.
All right.
Well, yes,
let's let you start off and let's see if you could duplicate that effort, or am I going to get my redemption back?
Well, I'm going to go with Florida, and I'm going to go with Duke.
Give me a
have Florida. Florida wins the whole thing, and it's Florida Duke in the national championship. That's my 2 picks, and also my championship pick is Florida.
Well, Florida was my championship pick as well, but I had them playing Clemson and not Duke. So I know a lot of people, they assimilate Duke like with a New England Patriots or now the Chiefs when they just completely always dominate. They were always there, but I think it's great for college basketball. And Jon Scheyer's done a great job. Jon Scheyer's done a great job.
Yeah. So who are your picks?
Handpicked by Coach K, right?
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to take Florida. I'm going to stick with them right to the end. But I do think the Duke game with Houston, it's going to be a close game because Houston's really, really good. I just see the determination on Cooper Flagg and knowing that this is really his final game, final 2 games 100%. Of the season. And I still think Florida can dominate. So I'm going to take them in the finals, but I think we both concede that because that's who my final overall champ was.
So Florida Duke, Florida's the champion for the both of us. We can't say good luck because we both say the same thing. But we could disagree on the women's side of things. We'll talk about that real quick before we move on. Yesterday, South Carolina defeated Texas 74-57, and UConn defeated UCLA 85-51. Tomorrow is that national championship at 3:00 over on ABC from Tampa Bay. It's UConn and South Carolina for all the marbles. I'm going to go for my pick there. South Carolina to win the women's national championship. Jim, who do you got?
Well, I think this is really lining up to be because we know how dominant South Carolina has been for the past, 8 years with Dawn Staley at the helm and so forth. But I think, and believe it or not, UConn hasn't won a national championship in the past 10 years, and they used to win it all the time. But I think the X factor here is Paige Bueckers. I mean, you want to talk about a phenom, it can assimilate her with Caitlin Clark last year, but this girl is a 4-year starter, and she's an outstanding basketball player, and I think Connecticut is going to get back into the championship circle.
So we disagree, but it's not the men's, it's the women's side. Wow, all right. I love that, though. So South Carolina for me, UConn for Jim. That game's 3:00 on ABC. The men's Final Four tonight on CBS.
Good job. All right. Looking forward to it.
Eric chimes in. He says, good morning. Good morning, Eric.
Eric, pride of Westchester, Pennsylvania. Thank you, Eric. All right, Eli. There was just a couple other little things before we wrap up college basketball, as you know, and we talked a little bit about not only is the portal changing the structure of the teams and so forth, when you see teams like Virginia and Indiana losing 10 multiple double-digit players to the portal, you're rebuilding the whole team, so coaches are doing the same thing. And, where there was like Willard going to Villanova, it's a carousel. And by the way, not only was Cooper Flagg named Player of the Year, but I think it's the first time there was ever a tie for Coach of the Year, and that was both
Yeah.
Rick Pitino and Bruce Pearl.
Yes. I'll double check that for you.
Bruce Pearl. Yeah. Anyway, so that
I
was
will
an
go back.
interesting thing.
Rick Pitino and Bruce Pearl.
Bruce Pearl, right?
All right.
So
Yeah, and as you
okay.
mentioned, Kevin Willard, he goes to Villanova for the men's basketball programming head coach. That was
Yeah.
announced last week. Yeah.
A lot of changes, and one of them, and he used to coach Siena. Fran McCafferty, he was the head coach for 15 years at Iowa. He gets fired.
Yeah.
And now he's going back to Penn, where he played, and it was an outstanding basketball player. So that's a good side of things, seeing a coach go back to coach his alma mater. You know, that's great. Okay, Eli, let's move on. Beginning of the Major League Baseball season has begun. And let's obviously, one of the biggest topics of discussion is the torpedo bat. And, you know, is this really something that's making a fundamental difference?
No.
And I don't know.
No.
I mean, I looked at the bat itself, and anybody's going to be able to use it. So, but if people who hit 10 home runs a year start hitting 50 home runs a year, I'm going to attribute it to the bat. But right now, I think it's a little too early. Hey, look, Aaron Judge doesn't use it, and look what he's doing already. He's already got 6 home runs.
And that proves the point.
Right?
That proves the point. It doesn't matter what bat you're using. It matters about how you play, how you train, and what you perform the day of the game. That's what matters, not no bat. I'm going to keep on repeating it. If Aaron Judge is not using this torpedo bat, then how come he's getting home runs left and right? How come he's playing like the player that he's supposed to be? But again, with the New York Yankees, this is what I get so frustrated about. They're having such a good start. They're putting up so many runs. They had over 20 runs the last weekend. But then when the playoff comes around, they're like the worst team, and Aaron Judge is like the worst player in all of baseball. It gets me so frustrated. It really does. But hopefully this year it's a change for the New York Yankees on this side of things. But as we mentioned, the roller coaster ride has begun. No matter what team, Yankees, Mets, Dodgers, they're always going to have a roller coaster season ride. It's either going to start up high and starting with the wins and then goes downhill with the losses, then back up again. It's a roller coaster ride.
Well, and there's still a chance that the Los Angeles Dodgers could still go 162-0 because they haven't lost yet.
They've lost.
Did they lose?
Yes, they did. According to the standings, they did lose. And then we'll get the team that they lose to. But according to my standings, every team has now 1 win and every team now has 1 loss.
Yeah, the other team was the San Diego Padres. They were 7-0, best start in team history. And they lost.
Their loss was to the Phillies last night, 3-2.
Yeah.
So that's how the Dodgers got their first loss last night, 3-2 to the Phillies.
Okay, well, listen, we keep talking about this guy Ohtani. He's one of a kind. I mean,
oh yes, he is
amazing.
And again, you know what though? I give him credit. This is why I consider him a good player, because he performs very well also in the postseason. He's not just a regular season guy, as we seem like a person like Aaron Judge. You know, he also plays very well in the postseason. He's committed to the game, and even he battles through it. That's what I do love about Shohei Ohtani, despite the whole
he hasn't had a lot of postseason experience because he played for the Angels for all those years and they never made the playoffs. So yeah, we'll find out about that. But you know, early in the season, you look, you know, Pete Alonso, who the Mets were debating to bring back or not bring back, he's hitting the ball. So
which is no surprise.
Again, I don't know. I just found it funny that the topic was this bat, and I don't know. I mean, hilarious. If the Yankees could use it, anybody could use it. Obviously, it has to be sanctioned across the league, but that took a little bit of the joy out of the beginning of the season. And you see guys like Jurickson Profar on the Atlanta Braves get suspended for 80 games for PED. I mean, what are you guys thinking? I mean, you're going to be tested. What are you thinking? It's crazy.
It's hilarious. That's all it is.
Right? But we got to worry, I think, a little bit. Like I said, I think the Yankees can score a lot of runs, especially if Bellinger
Everybody's
and
healthy. Yeah.
Goldschmidt hit, but they don't, they're not looking all that great right now. But the pitching is going to be the key factor for the Yankees.
All right.
Let's see what else.
That's what I have for the MLB.
Okay.
Let's go to the NHL.
Yes, and I got some interesting facts to bring up with that too. But
All right.
take it away.
Let's start with this. Last night, he ties the record. Alex Ovechkin ties Wayne Gretzky with goal number 894. He is now one away from breaking the all-time record. But the best storyline of the night, though, is not the Wayne Gretzky and Alex Ovechkin. Ryan Leonard scores his first NHL goal last night on an empty netter goal last night with the Capitals. And what a night to do it right after Alex Ovechkin ties Wayne Gretzky, first ever NHL goal on an empty netter. And on a night where when both the Gary Bettman, the commissioner, Wayne Gretzky, and now the newest legend, Alex Ovechkin's there. But I will keep on saying this. Alex Ovechkin, congratulations. You're going to beat the record. You're not the greatest of all time in my book. That is still Wayne Gretzky for hockey. But you're definitely going to be up there for a name that we will talk about forever, though.
Oh, well, no question about it. I mean, the guy is tough as nails. And the interesting fact, Eli, is right now they're tied, Gretzky and Ovechkin, with 894 goals. Wayne Gretzky did that in 1,487 games. Alex Ovechkin did it in 1,486 games. How isn't that an awesome statistic? I mean,
wow.
Isn't that something?
What a stat.
Yeah, great.
That's
interesting
incredible.
stat.
And
I have another one related to that. Because we just covered Major League Baseball. So Aaron Judge hit a home run last night.
Yep.
So that is 321 home runs for the New York Yankees in his first 1,000 games. There's another player from Yankee history that also had the exact number, 321 home runs in 1,000 games, and that was Babe Ruth.
Look at those stats. Bravo, Jim.
Right.
Amazing stats.
I love it. Yeah.
The best was how the Capitals, they play the Islanders tomorrow in New York, Sunday tomorrow, 12:30 on TNT. It's a national televised game, TNT, so you can see if he does break the record tomorrow. Before he scored the 2 goals last night, tickets were on sale for $160. Now, the cheapest ticket is $900 to go see history happen. Within 2 hours, the ticket jumped from $160 to $900. Insane.
Yeah, and I gotta say this because you and I have been talking about it. Is he going to get the record this year, or is he going to have to start in next year? And I think you were more on the line like, I think he could do it this year. But I do need to give my brother Steve credit because, 2 years ago when we were talking about this, I thought there is no way that he was going to break that record. And I stand here corrected. He did it. He did it.
Yeah, I think he's going to get it tomorrow because he wants to do it properly, not on an empty net goal, the proper way with a goalie in the net. And I think tomorrow will be the day he gets it. Kenny Albert is on the call. And a significant fact is Kenny Albert was also on the call for the radio broadcast during Gretzky's last goal in the NHL when he scored the last goal for Wayne Gretzky. So he'll be there when history potentially happens. So look at that history there.
How many games are left in the regular season?
We have about, I believe, 5 to 6 more games left.
Yeah, less than 10, right?
Yeah.
So he'll break the record.
He'll break the record, and I think it's tomorrow. It's national televised, 12:30 TNT. He's definitely going to break it, I think.
And I heard a great quote because you can see Wayne Gretzky is legitimately
happy
about this. And he's showing a lot of class. He's going to be at every Capitals game until that record is broken.
And I think it's tomorrow.
And they had asked him, they talked about when he broke Gordie Howe's record, and they asked Gordie Howe, how do you feel about somebody breaking your record? And his response was, if it was some clown, I'd be angry about it, but not with Wayne Gretzky. Now it's an honor to have that record broken, and he's carrying on that same train of thought
Absolutely.
with Ovechkin. Classy, classy, classy.
Absolutely. And again, Wayne
So
Gretzky, what a player to show up to that game last night and potentially the next couple. That's class, and that's what I love. That's for me. That is always going to be the greatest of all time, and I want no debates about it. And
yep.
I know that's gonna be a debate on ESPN for Monday morning, but still, uh, that's amazing. It really is.
Well, both you and I are sweating because I don't think the Rangers or the Devils are going to make the playoffs. The way the
You
Rangers,
know,
they're so inconsistent that they win games and then they lose four in a row. I don't know. I
the
think the
Devils
chemistry
might
is
be
off.
able to get in just because the way the standings are currently. And again, this is a big game today. The Devils take on the Rangers from Prudential Center at 12:30. They're on ABC with the ABC Hockey Saturday game today. So that is a good game to watch out for. Potentially, if the Devils win tonight, I would say, yeah, that it's possible that they have a shot at going to the playoffs, going far. I don't think they're going to go the best, but yeah.
Yeah. Been a
Uh,
disappointing year for us New York hockey fans,
I
that's
know.
for
And
sure.
New Jersey. Kenny Albert also called the first NHL goal ever scored.
Now that's a
That
little tongue in cheek
yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, no.
All right, Eli. So we covered that. Let's
Yeah,
let's
so
touch a
we'll
couple
see what
little notes from the NFL.
yeah.
Your Aaron Rodgers is still out there
Yeah,
dangling.
what happens to not talking about Aaron Rodgers? That's the first thing we bring up with the NFL. Let's talk about some positive stuff. Let's get away from Aaron Rodgers. We don't need to talk about him. When he signs, we'll talk about him. We're not going to say a word.
You know what? It's fair enough, but the game that he's playing is just completely Aaron Rodgers like, and you're right. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Move on.
Let's talk about, more importantly, some two big changes. We'll start off with this. The overtime rule has changed. Now both teams will possess the ball. 10-minute overtime still apply. Both teams possess. I like the rule change. No issues with that. I think it had to be done.
Agreed.
Okay. The next rule change was the NFL has announced that the method of measuring first downs will be by camera-based technology that will begin this season. Those chain crews will be sidelined and a secondary option if needed.
But this is more technology getting involved in the outcome of the game.
Hey, I think that's great, but you're losing people's jobs. And I think, how could you tell if that's a first down? Really? Look at the chain. If camera ain't gonna tell you if that's right or wrong, they could fix it for all they want to. Like I don't like this rule at all. I think that they should keep with the chain gain. I think they're getting too ahead with technology here.
Okay.
And Christmas Day, we'll get 3 games in the NFL. And the last note in the NFL, Chargers signed QB Trey Lance to a 1-year deal. He was the former number 3 overall pick in the draft, and Julio Jones announces his retirement from the NFL after 13 seasons.
Well, he hasn't caught a pass in about 3 years, so that's no surprise there.
And that's what I got for
Eli, how about your former quarterback, Geno Smith? I mean,
sounds a good deal.
They just gets a new year, 2-year deal worth $75 million. This for a guy that really hasn't won anything. He's kind of been a mediocre quarterback. And it's just more and more of these guys that may not be deserving of these numbers getting these numbers. It's crazy.
It's crazy.
That's a lot of money.
Yes, it is. That's what I got in the NFL. Shall we go to the Masters in golf?
Yes, and you know how much this means to me. So I'll even kick it off. It's
go for it.
It's always, and we wanted to make sure we discussed it this week because the Masters is next weekend, and at one of the most beautiful golf courses on the planet. And I have such a history with the Masters. Like I've literally been watching the Masters for over a half a century, and it's so entertaining. And I know a lot of people say it's boring to watch on TV, but I completely disagree. but I've had the opportunity to watch for years Jack Nicklaus win it and all these great golfers that came after him and Tiger Woods and the performances that they made. And, so yes, I think obviously the obvious favorite is two-time champion Scotty
Scotty
Scheffler.
Scheffler. Absolutely. That's
And,
my pick.
it's hard to bet against him
Absolutely.
because he is that good. He's the number one player in the world. Yeah, you got guys like McIlroy who have, this is the only major he hasn't won, so that's sticking in his
Yes,
craw.
it's
But
going to be, more
it's
eyes on him as
bothering.
well.
But I'm going to give, and normally yes, so I'm going to give 3 picks to win the Masters because it's very, very difficult to select out of a field of over 100 golfers. But Scotty Scheffler definitely has to be in that conversation. You could see his game is starting to ramp up. He came in like second place or third place last week. So I'm going to absolutely have him on. And then my 2, I guess, sleeper picks, if you want to call them, because I've always been a fan of Colin Morikawa. And, he's already he's proven he can win a major. He's got 2 majors already. And, he seems to be playing really good golf. Keep an eye out for him, at least to be in the top 10 or even in the mix come Sunday. And one of my other sleeper picks, because I can't pick Rory McIlroy because he just doesn't seem to have the ability to close it, and especially on this stage. But one of his best friends, Shane Lowry, who's kind of an under the radar golfer, won some tournaments. I'm going to put him in my top 3. So Morikawa, Scheffler, and Shane Lowry. And you tell me who you think's going to win this.
I have to go with Scotty Scheffler. I mean, the Masters is literally his name on it. He even got arrested right before it. So you have to go with Scotty Scheffler. I got to go with Rory McIlroy second. I think I think he has a shot at it this year. And I'm going to go with Colin Morikawa. I think he has another shot at it too. I think those two is who I think Rory has the best shot at it if it's not Scotty Scheffler, but I'll give it to Colin as well.
Oh, so you're taking my picks. You got Colin Morikawa, Scotty Scheffler, and Rory.
Yes.
Okay, fair enough.
That's what I think. These are the top 3. It's on the list here. I think those 3 are the best 3.
Wow, I didn't know you even knew who Colin Morikawa was or his track record. That's a good pick. Good pick.
All right.
All right, Eli. Let's
NBA, not much
jump
happening.
into some random points of interest.
So yeah, let's go for
it.
So and that's sponsored by Lynch Toyota of Manchester, Connecticut.
Yep, and I think some of our loyal listeners are happy we're kind of bypassing the NBA segment because there's really nothing going on.
Yeah, I think we all.
That'll change a little bit when we get into the playoffs, but. So, random points of interest, Eli. I got a few. I'll start off, and then you can.
Yeah. A lot of my points were set. I only got 1, unfortunately.
Yeah, and this was pretty cool, actually relating to the NBA of all things. But I was flipping around on MSG. They were broadcasting the called Lost and Found was the show, and it was about the 73 championship series between the Los Angeles Lakers and Wilt Chamberlain and Jerry West versus the Knicks in 1973 with Walt Frazier and DeBusschere and Bradley and Reed. But I was amazed, though, the quality of the video. And this isn't that long ago. I mean, it's 50 years, yes. But, I mean, the video looked like it was made on the first camera that was ever put into a telephone. It was grainy, but it was really cool to see some of the greatest players of all time in that series. And the Knicks prevailed, and that was their last championship. But to watch Wilt Chamberlain and Jerry West and Elgin Baylor, it was just awesome to see. And, Walt Clyde Frazier turned 80 years old this week, and he was
Yeah.
one of the stars of that team. So that's puts it in a little bit of perspective. But it was a great show. If you haven't had an opportunity to watch it, it was really cool. This was an interesting thing. So Jimmy Haslam, the owner of the Cleveland Browns, finally confessed that maybe getting and paying Deshaun Watson all that money was a mistake
Wasn't the best
after
idea,
all.
no.
How nice of him to come clean.
Yeah, that was nice, yeah.
Oh my goodness. Did you mention the tush push rule? Where did that end up on
No, I think they just bypassed it. They're letting it go.
They're letting it go, so it stays in effect until otherwise noted, right?
Yes, and I'll double check with that. But yes, I believe they're staying the same.
Okay. And Eli, so again on the Hall of Fame, but I saw the Hall of Fame voting has been underway, and Carmelo Anthony, first ballot Hall of Famer in the NBA Hall of Fame. And I looked back on his career, and I remember him. Obviously, he won a national championship as a freshman with Syracuse and had a great year, great career. Started out with the Nuggets for many years.
Yep.
And played for the Knicks. He was one heck of a shooter. He could just light it up. So I have no problem with him getting in on the first ballot because he was that good of a player. And but he's going to go down. What's he lacking of all those statistics? No championships.
Yeah,
that hurt.
That's gonna rough. That's
But here's another name that came up on the list, and I think I just saw this morning that he's going in as a first ballot Hall of Famer, and I could not disagree more. Dwight Howard. Yes, he was a physical specimen. He had a good career, but when you put that as a first ballot Hall of Famer with guys like, Jerry West, even Carmelo Anthony, no way do I agree that he belongs in the Hall of Fame on the first ballot. I just completely disagree.
Yeah.
And he bounced around from team to team to team at the last 8 years of his career. So I disagree with that one.
All right.
And one other stat, which is the first time in NBA history, a guy had 35 points, 20 assists, and 15 rebounds. And who do you think that was? Who do you think that was?
LeBron James?
No, it was actually Giannis. So when I first saw that, I said, "Oh my God!" I would have thought Wilt Chamberlain had 10 of those games, but no, never those numbers. So he's still one of the top players in the league, and but he's on a team that has taken quite the downturn, the Milwaukee Bucks. So.
Yeah. We have a comment from Chris. He says, "Okay, thanks for the show. On my way to see the Devils Rangers at the Rock."
Oh, awesome, Chris! Thanks for joining the show. And like I said, you got a lot of press this past couple of weeks with your dad, and then the movies and so forth. So we thank you very much for listening to the show. And let's go Rangers.
Go Devils. Hello.
All right, that's
fair enough. All right,
Eli.
One no. I only got one no, and then the rest will put up in the entertainment and photo segment. Stanford football is hiring veteran NFL coach Frank Reich as the school's interim head coach. That's the only note I have. The rest was all said during the rest of the segments today. That was the only note I have.
Wait, which one? What school?
Stanford.
Oh, Frank Reich went to Stanford? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Yep. And now it is time for the entertainment and photo segment that is sponsored by Vital Selections. You could scan the QR code to learn more.
Yes. And so we had a comment from one of our loyal listeners, Mr. James Walsh, who I had an opportunity. I watched the movie American Graffiti last week. I don't know if you've seen it. It's kind of what all-star cast in it, all young all-star cast. This goes back to 73. And in particular, like Richard Dreyfuss was in there. So I had gotten a movie recommendation from one of our loyal listeners, Mr. Holland's Opus. and that stars also Richard Dreyfuss, who, if for most people would say his most prominent role was Hooper in Jaws, of course,
Of
but
course.
he has a great history of making movies, and that's a really good movie. I think you'd enjoy that one, Eli.
All right. I'll have to take a look at it. But SNL is all new this week. It's Jack Black as your host, Elton John and Brandy Carlisle as your musical guest. It's going to be a great show. Jack Black is hilarious. So you have to tune in to see that one. Last week was a little controversy on the show as Morgan Wallen just left during the Good Night segment. And he posted from his private jet saying, "Get me to God's country." What that is, we don't know. A lot of memes out there. One said Krispy Kreme, one said the airport, a bunch said a bunch of other stuff. So it's hilarious what that all meant. You also have an evening with Elton John and Brandy Carlisle special at 8 o'clock on CBS this Sunday. And my recommendation: Beat Bobby Flay on the Food Network. I was watching that this week. I'm like, oh, I gotta watch to recommend that.
Okay.
We do have another comment. Frank Wright is tight with Andrew Luck.
Well, that would make the Stanford situation make
Yep.
sense for sure. Thanks, Andrew.
And
Yep.
now we got some photos.
Yeah, I got some photos. Look at this. This is my daughter's dog. Look how cute this thing is. It's a Sharpeagle, Sharpei and a Beagle. And then the little pooch hasn't been feeling well, so I just wanted to give him a shout out and tell him, get well soon, Mace.
Yeah.
Get well soon. And here they are. So, first time we've seen Logan not in either a basketball uniform or a baseball uniform. But the kids are out in St. Croix or something like that.
Oh, ain't that nice? St. Croix. Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Jim and I were here in Old Jersey with the rain. And
exactly.
You didn't get invited, Jim, for the nice vacation?
I did not get invited. No, I did not get invited.
That is disappointing, man.
But it looks like they had a good time, and they
I think so.
Yeah. No, my daughter deserves it and so forth. So
yeah, that's good. But Jim, you're still here. You're not in St. Croix enjoying the wonderful weather. Well, we got the rain here in Jersey. We got to enjoy that at least.
Yeah, and we've talked about it. Some of this weather, it's been crazy. It's been cool. It's been cold. It's been warm. It's been crazy. So it definitely is affecting my tulips because I'm waiting for them to wake up.
Absolutely. Andrew says Reich went to Maryland. So correction.
I thought so. I actually thought so.
You're right.
That's why
I thought I read.
But that's why him and Boomer Esiason are like best friends.
Yeah. All right.
That's
read it
right.
wrong. Maybe thought it right Sam.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Thanks for confirming, Andrew, because I was starting to question my knowledge.
I must have read it wrong.
Yeah.
I'll have to double check. All right. Well, now time for no passings. Thank you for the correction there.
Eli, just one other quick thing. So we had gotten a message last week from JR, who has, does a sports podcast as well. You have to send us your information, and you can send that to sportswithmano@gmail.com, JR. Otherwise, we can't get you on the show. We're working on some other guests as well, Eli. So
yes, we are.
Should be an interesting spring and summer for us.
Absolutely. I'm trying to double check, just see where I messed up. I want to thank you again, Andrew, for correcting. I know I messed up. Sorry about that. I gotta find where it was.
It's all right. No harm, no foul. Okay, so we do have some notable passings, and they're really from more of the world of entertainment. Actor Richard Chamberlain dies at 90 years old. And listen, growing up, the guy was, a very established actor, and kind of most notable, he was in Shogun and the Thornbirds, things like that. So had a great career, for sure. I didn't, 90 years old. Wow, amazing. And we did lose another actor, and I'm sure most of our audience has seen the original Top Gun, if not both.
Absolutely.
But what a difference. This guy has been in terrible shape for quite a long time. He's not that much older than I am, and 65 years old. But he had he had a pretty decent movie career. Probably could say one of his best widely known was his portrayal of Jim Morrison from The Doors. The Batman thing I didn't think went off that great, but he was good in the first Top Gun. and he was actually in Maverick, which was kind of how they worked his illness into that movie. It was pretty interesting. So
Yeah.
Yeah, those are our Hollywood notables. So
Yeah. Just wanted to double check and just Google on ESPN. It reports that Stanford hires Frank Reich as interim head coach for 25 season.
Oh,
That's
okay.
that's what it has. Just an interim head coach position. That's what my note was for, and that's what ESPN
Gotcha.
confirms. All right,
Gotcha.
but hey, yeah, good. We less notable passings, and we had a great show, and that's what matters.
Hey, just one other quick thing. Frank Reich, a lot of people may not remember. I know football fans certainly remember.
Yeah.
But one of the biggest comebacks in NFL history was when he came in and took over for Jim Kelly and they were down by 35 points against Houston Oilers, and
Yeah.
he rallied them back and won. Amazing.
Yeah.
All right,
hey,
Eli,
what a
listen,
great show. And
again, congratulations on your acceptance into the broadcasting studies at Seton Hall University, and
appreciate
that's
it.
only going to help our show, and your knowledge has been great, and it's been a big asset, and I'm very proud of you. So congratulations.
Well, thank you very much. And couldn't have done it without any of you guys. Really appreciate it.
All right, guys. Listen, enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you guys back here next Saturday.
Yes. Same
Sports
time,
with
same place.
Mono and Mono.
Same time, same place, 10 o'clock. Thank you for joining us. So long.
Thanks for listening, guys. Bye.
Bye-bye.